Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how I use a voltmeter to troubleshoot a multi-battery system like this 48 volt EZGO golf cart. The owner of this machine would fully charge it up, and within a few minutes it would stop running, which would usually strand his 3-year-old, 6-year-old grandbabies in the woods, which was not good. So he took it to a shop. They told him his charger was bad and courteously gave him another one, told him his needed rebuilt, and just gave him one. But that didn't solve anything. Okay, he got it back and still the same problem. So he brought it to me, asked him please get this fixed because I can't trust this machine with my grandchildren in it. So I'm going to show you how I troubleshoot this. It has multiple issues in this battery system, and I'm going to show them all to you today. Now I'll find them. First test I'm always going to do is measure the overall voltage of this system, which is 48 volts consisting of 6 8-volt batteries wired in series. Okay, so I'm going to go to my main negative and positive terminals, and I'm going to really poke real hard through all this awful corrosion on everything and measure my voltage. Make sure I get a very accurate reading by poking through all that. I'm at 49.9. A couple minutes ago I measured 49.8. Next I'm going to do, see, I'm looking good. It's a 48 volt system. That should be okay, right? Next I'm going to measure each individual battery the same way. Since they're wired in series, I don't have to disconnect any wires. So I'm going to measure now, just across the negative and positive, each battery. I'm going to choose a little bit better range. So here we can see I'm at, if I can hold that through that corrosion, I should be around, let me get it. I get about 8.7 when I can hold it in the right spot. Which only happens sometimes. There we go. 8.73. Sorry. We really have to poke through that corrosion to get a good reading on this. I'm going to do the same thing on every battery. I'm going to write all those down. And when I add all those numbers up, I should get the same numbers I read across them two main terminals, and I don't. I have somewhere around at least a half a volt of loss in my connections. Okay, so it's really not that hard to find this one, to be honest with you, but it's not the only problem this machine has. If you also look at these numbers, you'll see how my voltage goes from 8.7, 8.7 to 8.3, 8.3, 8.4, almost 8.4. Between these two batteries, I have a pretty significant drop between my voltages. Okay, so guess where my connection problem is? You guessed it, right here on that battery. And I don't take a genius to figure out that this is not properly tightened down. Okay, big problem number one, loose connection on one of my batteries. They're all wired in series. This connection affects the entire system. Okay, next problems are, and the second biggest problem is this wiring connector right here. This is part of your charging port. Okay, you have your main positive lead feeding your battery system, and this is the monitoring wire that measures that voltage back, sends it back to the charger. Now, hard to get you a real good view of this, but that, oh, there it goes. I'll be damned. It just, I knew it was about to break, and sure enough, that's what happened. This is not sending the proper signal back to the charger. I mean, it's just going to keep pumping that amperage and voltage into your batteries, making it spew all of this sulfuric acid mist all over everything and making all your terminals corrode all the crap like this. What's happening here? This is a big issue. Problem's not with the charger. Problem's the charger's not getting the right signal back from the battery. Okay, the next problem we have is the battery monitor was wired into this thing, and it looks like they used a pair of set of speaker cables with a black and red wire to run back here to the hook to the battery. And this is one of the terminal connections. That's not done properly. Look at this, all this bare wire. This thing gonna sit here and rattle around. Eventually those wires are gonna break going in there. Okay, That is non-secure connection, not how it should be done. And even this wire here, it feeds back to the, I think this feeds part of that charging system too. Look at it's moving. This is a factory wiring here, but it's still a little bit loose. So we need at least either replace this terminal or recrimp it better. This definitely needs to be replaced. And the other end of that monitor wire is connected down here on the solenoid. It's kind of hard for me to give you a view of it, but it's the same way. This wire is about ready to break off of this terminal because it was not stripped. The insulation on the wire was probably not stripped properly, and it was not crimped properly. You got to use a stripper made for the correct gauge wire, or you're going to be pulling off strands of that wire, and you're going to be making it real small and cut it, and it's going to break real easy on you in the future. Okay, use some type, doesn't have to be like this, but some type of a correct wire stripper. And when you put these stupid terminals on, you have to use a correct crimper. Okay, there's a reason why they make these, and there's a reason why they work. Really crimp down on your terminals extremely well. Lastly, guys, besides just those connections being a problem, every single one of these terminals in here, knocking the dirt off the top of this, the corrosion off the top, is going to do absolutely no good. Every one of these terminals is going to have to be the wire removed, the threaded lug coming out of there completely scrubbed down with something like a wire bristle brush. Clean every bit of that corrosion off of there. And the best thing you can use to clean it with is going to be contact cleaner. Okay, this stuff not going to take the big stuff off, but it's not harmful to anything. See, it's non-conductive. It doesn't leave any residue behind. It's also not going to destroy any of your rubber or plastic parts. Okay, connections, man, it's all about electricity. Is your connections. All of your losses are in your connections. When this machine, after it ran for a few minutes, the voltage loss at this connection caused this connection to get really hot. That's what happens when you use electricity. It generates heat. And when you lose it right here, this terminal gets hot, and after just a little while, it just shut off. Okay? Either totally lost the connection, or the system controlling it shut it off because it knew it was drawing too many amps. Alright? Basic troubleshooting, guys. Please follow your electrical connection protocols, and I hope to have this battery and this system back to this man later this afternoon and let his grandkids go for a ride. Thanks everybody for watching. Alright, so after all the terminals and all the cables were all cleaned up really nice and neat, and I replaced all those other bad ends on those other wiring ends that I showed you, I just barely have my test leads sitting on these positive and negative cables, and I got a full 50 volts now at my main cables. Remember before I was at 49.8, and what's also changed is these two batteries that were higher voltage have now equalized. All six now read right around 8.35. So 8.35 times 6 gives me 50.1. We sit here long enough and watch this thing, it'll fluctuate up to 50.1. Have perfect connections, have all my voltage. This thing is going to be charging right. It's going to be not having all these issues that it was given the customer before, okay? It's going to be much happier. It's not going to be blowing all that sulfuric acid mist all over everything either, because it's going to be charging properly, having the signal wire going back to the charger. And also, as you can see here, it's showing a full charge. Previously, this would never show a full charge. It was always like 1 or 2 notches below, even though it was reading 50 volts on the battery. Okay, this was not functioning right, so that's a win-win. Everybody's happy, and the owner can now take his grandchildren on whatever adventure he wants to and not have to worry about getting stuck. So this is what your unit should look like when you're done, people. Make sure everything is neat, clean, and tight. Okay, don't mess around with electricity. It's very picky. So appreciate everybody watching. Thank you.